Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful for you to join us for another week. And we're excited this week we have on Dorota Kuldo. She is the founder of Clutter Freedom Program and a mentor for women ready to break free from overwhelm and the weight of clutter, both physical and emotional. After decluttering 70% of her own belongings while working two full-time jobs, Dorota discovered that true transformation starts not with just getting organized, but with the nervous system, mindset, and sustainable systems rooted in brain science. Today, she empowers women to reclaim their time, energy, and peace of mind so that they can create homes and lives that truly support them. So, welcome. We're really excited to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so chuffed to be here.
So, can you explain a little bit about how you do your decluttering and what's at the basis of it? Because I know you're talking about regulating yourself and things like that. So, you can talk a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. So, um, it's funny, like a lot of most of the time when we think about decluttering, we think about, okay, give me the steps and I'll do it, right? But actually, the act of decluttering is like starting from step 4 or step 5. There are steps that need to be done beforehand. Why? Because at the end of the day, if we look at how our brain works, and that's sort of what my way of decluttering and how I teach decluttering is based on brain science, our biology, the way our nervous system works. So it's like all rooted in that, right? So if we look at how we operate, only 5% of our sort of perception of the world, but also where our dream goals and desires live, is just 5% of our brains. That's our conscious mind, right? Our subconscious mind, it's 95% of how we operate. So it's all of the beliefs that we have, the programming that we have, but also the ways we think about the world, what we think success is, what success isn't, what reaching goals means, and all of those things, right? And it goes, I can go really, really deep on about this, but I just want to sort of keep it short. So if we only focus on the strategy, so our dream goals and desires would be, okay, I want to declutter my home, right? On the conscious level, prefrontal cortex, this logical brains, I want to declutter my home, right? But that's only 5%. That is the strategy. So that is the steps. That is how to. That is the decluttering hacks, the checklist. All of that is only 5%. 95% of how we are going to actually reach that goal is under the conscious mind. So that's why the nervous system regulation has to come in to be able to have that 100% of the full picture to declutter. So that's sort of how it works.
That's very interesting. So, how do people start to realize, like, and regulate their bodies to be able to put this into motion? Because I know often, you know, I even have personal goals that have nothing to do with cluttering, but
Mhm.
if you can't get your mind kind of right with what you're doing, it's really hard to move forward with that. So, can you talk a little bit about how people could regulate themselves with that? Like, what
Yeah,
first?
I think, before we actually touch on to how to regulate, it would be, I think, quite cool to understand, okay, but am I actually dysregulated or am I
Hmm,
not? Like, where am I actually on the scale, right?
yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, so I think that would be a good starting point. Right, if you've ever um set yourself a goal to do something like, oh, just a simple thing, right? You want to go and tidy the room or a garage or whatever, right? And there is this thought that pops into your head, go, oh, but I can't be bothered, right? Or like, oh, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, right? Or maybe you are decluttering and there is an item that you come across and you're like, okay, I have to keep it for whatever reason, right? Or I need to, I spend good money on it, so I'm gonna hold on to it, no matter whether I use it or not. These are the signs of nervous system dysregulation. These are the signs of where your nervous system is like, I do not know what you're going to do, right? because our nervous system, the main goal, the only goal of our nervous system is to keep us safe and protected within this familiar zone, right? And everything that we want to do outside of it, like decluttering, for example, it's expanding out of this, so that unfamiliar zone, right? And the nervous system, if not regulated, is going to pump the brakes. So procrastination is a huge sign of nervous system dysregulation, right? um, the lack of clarity, sort of looking for new strategy all the time, right? Not giving it enough time to work, hopping to a next one. Time pressure, this sort of invisible timeline that we set on ourselves, judgment as well, self-criticism. These are all nervous system dysregulation signs. So, how can we now go and regulate is first of all, if we put more pressure on ourselves, that is just going to dysregulate us further. So the first thing is always compassion. Compassion is the biggest tool, the most, I would say, the most potent tool in regulation. Yes, okay, I feel like I need to keep this item because I don't know, I maybe use it one day. I feel like I spent so much money on this item. I feel like I need to keep it, right? And what you can do is literally just talk to yourself and sort of go like, okay, I understand that you're trying to protect me. I feel stretchy. I feel icky. Maybe if there is this icky feeling, then it's best to skip the item and go to something else. But that compassion and just this sort of internal dialogue where we go to ourselves, it's okay. Like I'm safe. I'm making these decisions. They are for me. No one's pressuring me. Nothing's gonna happen if I let go. But that we can go really deep there. But the first thing is always that compassion.
Yeah,
Give
that makes
yourself grace.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because like you say, we're often so hard on ourselves with it, and then
Mm.
we put that goal in mind, and then when we get to that stuck item, we don't have the compassion with ourselves. Like we berate ourselves a lot of the time to just say, "Oh, well, why I can't do this," and then we just throw the whole project down instead
Yeah,
of
like what is
moving
wrong
on.
with me? Why everyone else can do it and I can't? Something must be wrong.
Yes.
Uh, no, there is literally nothing wrong with you. It's just the way it is, and knowing that this is actually the biology, that this is
Yes.
not, you're not cursed, right? Or anything like that. But it's just a simple, basic biology. But there's just so many ways we can regulate to expand that capacity because there's one thing to declutter, but there's the second thing to actually hold that decluttered space,
Hmm.
right? Most of my clients actually come to me because they're like, okay, I know how to declutter. I've done it. Like I've done it in the past. I know how to clean my home, but I don't know how to keep it that way. Like what is happening,
Yeah.
right? It's the same way when we like lose weight and cannot keep off the weight, right? Because if we don't rewire those habits, if we don't change the beliefs deep down that we have, and if we don't break that cycle, that loop of clutter coming in and leaving, coming in and leaving, through the nervous system regulation, it's sort of always going to come back.
That makes sense because it's a safety mechanism then, right? Because that's
Yes.
what you feel safe in. You feel safe in the weight, you feel safe in the clutter around you. And I know for myself, like I'm often decluttering my home, but then I look around and I find the silliest things, and a lot of things are like mementos, something somebody's given me that means something to me. So I have in the past taken pictures and just kept that, but I
Mm.
still struggle with that's my biggest struggle is something that somebody's actually gifted me that means something to me that's old or whatever. And it's like, so how do you let go of those kind of things and get your mind around that? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that one too.
Mm. First of all, I would change the language there. I would say it's not a struggle. I'd say it's experience. Right? Because struggle has this like very negative connotation there,
Mhm.
and also it means that okay, if I struggle with that, means there is something wrong with me. It's just sort of like that straight line to judgment and self-criticism, right? But here's the thing, right? When we are decluttering, there is literally no rule anywhere that we have to know what to do with all of the items that we have. But what we do as women especially, we put that immense pressure on ourselves where we expect ourselves to know what to do, right? With every single item. And when we come across an item that it's hard, where that emotional charge is way higher, we very often blame ourselves for not being able to adhere to that whatever imaginary standard, right?
Mhm.
So, if we move that through as an experience, maybe you're just not ready to let go of this item, right? Every single time when like my clients come to me, like I never ever ever tell my clients what to declutter, what to keep, right? Because it's not my call to make. I give them the tools and support to help them walk through it, but I will never tell them what to do with items, right? But I always, when they ask me like, okay, but
So I can't remember where we were sort of talking about, but one question that I did have for you, I was thinking about where you when you were talking is, can you define for people what clutter is?
yeah, clutter is everything and anything. That's how I like to talk about it. So anything that is sort of out of place is I like to call them just items rather than clutter, because clutter tends to have a big charge. This is the word where we sort of think, you know, there's a certain type of items that can only be clutter, and we can, yes, look at the dictionary, at the, definitions, but to me, clutter is just stuff that is around the home, and decluttering is purely just removing this stuff. So whether it's trash or memories or items, broken things, whatever it is, that's decluttering for me. That's sort of how I like to look at it, because the main point for me, the main reason is that I like to remove as much of that nervous system dysregulation and perceived judgment as possible. And if we look at it from like a very general way of just sort of stuff, it's stuff in my home, whether I keep it or remove it, we can interchange it with clutter, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you. So to me, what I'm picking up from this then is that anything that kind of would be in my home that I walk by and I'm just like, it doesn't really bring me joy, but it doesn't really bring me any kind of emotion would be something that I would need to look at and say, is this something that I can get rid of out of my house? Would it free up some space for me to create a better energy when I'm walking around my home? Is that kind of along the lines of it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's amazing that we live in the world where we get to choose our definitions, we get to choose what we like, we get to choose what we don't like. And I think the more that external pressure of what other people think clutter is, aka what I should think clutter is as well, if we remove the most of that, the life just becomes so much easier, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So, can you talk about some of the benefits of when we regulate ourselves and kind of get our, mind regulated, and then we start to, you know, remove some of these items from our home?
Yeah, so if we regulate first, the most beautiful thing that happens is we feel safe to make those decisions, right? If we make ourselves with if we meet ourselves with that compassion, with knowing that whatever space we go into, whatever pile we go into, we cannot get it wrong, because that's the main part of nervous system regulation, is that you will never get it wrong, right? Maybe there will be a lesson from it, but the bottom line is you cannot get it wrong. So if we go into decluttering from with that mindset, and feeling that, it's okay, like I breathe, I'm a human, I'm safe. There is like the saber-toothed tiger is not chasing me. I'm in my space where I'm safe, protected, and I'm okay to make decisions. And the biggest part is always with the nervous system regulation is always we are looking at this from the perspective of expansion, right? It's like when you go to the gym, right? You go to the gym and you want to, I don't know, start lifting some weights. We don't start from the heaviest weight, right? Because we're just gonna like crush ourselves. We always start with the smallest weight and then we expand. So it's the same with decluttering with nervous system regulation. So that smallest thing in our home, it could be the easiest decision that we can possibly make. So trash, things that we know that we want to get rid of, and just focusing on those things at the beginning. Because the more, here's the thing, right, with nervous system, the more that you trust yourself that you are okay on the other side of getting rid of the item, the more and more and more, the braver, maybe I should say, the braver you'll be tackling more difficult things, right? Because if you declutter, get rid of an item that gives you a little bit of that, like, oh my gosh, right? A little bit of that sort of tingling, but it's not crushing you, but it's just like a bit expansive. You decluttered that item and nothing happened. No one came and shouted at you. The piano didn't drop from the sky and crush you, right? The tornado didn't come and like take your house, nothing happened. That is such a huge sign to your nervous system that, okay, I can do it, right? And the more you can do it, the more you're going to do it, basically.
Yeah, I love that. And that could go anywhere, right? Like I think we're in this world where we do a lot of things online too, and I know I'm guilty of this as probably everybody else. We save things, files, and it's like
Mhm.
emails, and it's like, I think that this now in this day and age, clutter just becomes everywhere, and it just feels good when you can get rid of some of that stuff. You don't feel as bogged down.
Yeah. Yeah, like going back to our biology, we take on like 11 million bits of data every minute. Like it's something like that, right? Again, 95% of it we are not even aware or even more. I don't know exactly what the percentage is. But the less of that around us, that stimuli that we can have, it's better for us, right? We were never meant to, especially now with the how we sort of have access to the entire world, right? But biology speaking, right, we were never meant to know what Susan from New Zealand had for lunch, right? That is not any information that we should, or like how many towels she has, right? Or whether, she's decluttering today or tomorrow, whatever, right? We were never meant to know those things. But because we have, like you said, especially with digital world, the scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, there's just so much. And if it seems like everyone else is moving forward with decluttering and we are the ones staying behind, which is never true. But it often, like when, scroll TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, it often seems that way. Then it's really hard. Then the dysregulation becomes even stronger and bigger. So that's why it's so important to remember about it.
Yeah.
Way back when I was moving things around, changing things up. And I said to Kimmy, oh, I have so much stuff here, but it's everything that everybody's given me. I don't want to get rid of it. And Kimmy said to me, take pictures, Mom. Take
Yeah.
pictures of them, and that way you'll always have, you can remember them through the pictures. And it's interesting because when you have them sitting on a shelf, you look at them all the time. But since I took the pictures of them, I've probably only gone back maybe once or twice to actually have a look. So, I mean, it shows that you really didn't need it, right? You were
Yeah.
just cluttering up
Mm.
that space because you didn't want to get rid of it because it was given to you as a gift, and you want people to, know that you appreciate what you get too, right? So, but it was a good thing because it sure helped me declutter, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's such a great way. There's loads and loads of those little things that we can do. But I think the biggest thing, and what I'm hearing you saying really is that it's not really the items that's the issue, but what we think around the items.
The
Because
memory.
I guarantee that no one would come to your house and say, like, where is this vase that I've given you, right? Like, we're never gonna be friends. Like, I'm never gonna speak to you again because you got rid of it. Like, no. And it's the same with, like, I don't have like loads of stuff anymore because I get rid of loads, but I kept little things from, like, a little, like, memorabilia and things like that. But I always say to people, like, if it's something that your great grandma has given you, or your mom that passed away, or your dad, or whatever, right? It's people that are not with you anymore, with us here on this plane anymore. But here's the thing, right? If they knew, right? If they knew that right now this set of plates that they have left you before they passed on is giving you such a huge anxiety, right? Because you don't know what to do with it. I'm sure they would, like, if they could communicate, they would come back for a second and say, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. Like, your mental health is way more important than any of the sentimental or any of the items. But it's not as easy. Like, we like to hold on to those things because it's giving us comfort. It's giving us this sense of safety. But yeah, like you said, taking pictures is a great way, maybe having like a little photo album of those things. Because at the end of the day, if you get rid of item, you're not going to get rid of the memory.
That's right.
The
And
memory
another
is
time,
still
yeah,
going to stay. Hmm.
another time I gave Kimmy some dish sets, and she wouldn't use it. And I said to her, use it while I'm alive. That way I get to enjoy the gift to you as well. So
Yeah.
she does, and she did, and I think that that too, because you get to enjoy it with her, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think we appreciate the item more when we get to enjoy it. And even if it breaks, right?
Yeah.
We get to create a new memory
Yes.
around the remember we had this, like, plate or something, then it broke, and maybe there would be like a beautiful healing moment around it or something, right? But we often are so scared of getting rid of items. It's because it's this very primal protective mechanism. But once we meet ourselves, like I said, with compassion and curiosity, very often it's like, oh, why do I feel this way around this item? Right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes items can really trigger us um, for some reason, right? So, like, curiosity is a really good way to navigate through the shame and self-judgment and this sort of negative energy.
Yeah.
Why do I feel this way? How is it that this item brings those emotions, right? And the big one is, can I be okay without this, right? Actually, there is a huge, very potent question. This one question, if you are able to answer this one question honestly with yourself, to yourself, and I always suggest to grab pen and paper and just write it out as like a journaling prompt. This one question is going to it's probably one of the most important questions to answer when it comes to decluttering items, especially those sticky items, those sentimental things or things that we come across as difficult for us is, what am I afraid is going to happen when I get rid of this item? And just write out as much as possible. because the scarcity around getting rid of something is way bigger than the reality of it actually happening. But also the second question, which is equally as potent, is what am I afraid I'm going to have to sacrifice to become the person who can let go freely? And that is going to uncover so many things. Um, and we get to witness all those parts of ourselves and meet them with compassion.
Hmm. I think that's so true. Like I know one thing for me is like clothes has been what I just don't keep them, right? If I wear it, it might get a second chance if I have a bad day, and it's like I wore this and I just don't feel good and it just doesn't like I just don't feel comfortable in it anymore. I might give it one more shot just in case I was having a bad day, but if I wear it the next time and I just don't have that feeling, we have a no thank you box is what we call
Mm,
it, and we
love
throw
it.
we throw stuff in there, and then other family members can come dig through it if they want something to take back or not, and then we just donate it. So it
Mm,
was interesting because when mom was a single mother growing up and raising my brother and I, so we didn't have, a lot of money around that time.
mm,
And so she was in business and she had these expensive suits. And then I remember when she was kind of maturing and things like that. And I said, Mom, you should get rid of some of those suits. And she's like, but what if I need them? I'm like,
mm,
okay, but when do you actually think you're going, like maybe you do, but when do you think you're going to need them? So it did take her a little while, and I think you did have some compassion with yourself and had to go through that dialogue, kind of like you were just saying with the prompting of, it's okay to let go of these. Yeah, what's the worst thing that can happen if I do let go of them?
yeah. And understanding that if it's going to take 15 years for someone to make a decision on a single item, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean that it's going to take you 15 years on every single item in your home. If it does, then I highly recommend reaching out for support, right? But we always like to look at that's our default setting as humans anyway, at those like negative things first. As humans, like 80% of our thoughts are negative by default anyway, right?
Hmm.
So we like to look at decluttering and think like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the worst experience ever. But actually can be the best experience ever. And
Right.
um, most often than not, it is if we let it. But also, what is important is that to remember is that we, the stuff that we have emotional attachment to them, right? There is a scale from zero, so trash, like no emotional attachment at all, to like, I cannot get rid of it for the life of me, right? I'm going to be buried in this thing. So, and it's a scale. So we have emotional attachment. We bought stuff because of emotions. That's the only reason why we buy stuff. So now what we are doing is we're trying to logically explain to ourselves what to do. And if we are quote unquote failing at it, because we cannot explain emotion with logic, it can't be done. And when we are not able to meet ourselves with the explanation good enough, which it doesn't exist anyway, then again, the shame, that spiral, the pressure, self-criticism, self-judgment kicks in, right? And it's okay, these things happen and it's okay. But what we have to do is just witness those things with compassion, with empathy, and be okay because we cannot get it wrong. You cannot get it wrong.
Hmm. When I find too, the clearer your house is and the more that you can kind of get rid of some of these things that just aren't serving you anymore, is it brings more mental clarity to you when you look around and you actually have that space to
Mm.
sit in or live in. That's what I find anyways with it.
Yeah, I like to compare it to music. That was a few years ago when I found this quote. I don't exactly remember how it went, but empty spaces in our home is like, the spaces between the notes in the piece of music. If there is no spaces, all we get is chaos, right? There's like just one sound. But if there are empty spaces between the notes, what we get is a beautiful piece of music. So it's the same in our home, and it's just such a beautiful sort of visualization. We like to, as people, we like to fill up all of the spaces, right? But empty walls. I'm not saying all the walls should be empty, but maybe we don't need stuff everywhere, right? And also, it's so much easier to clean if you don't have all this shit out on the open, right? Yeah.
That is so true because I used to have a lot more than I do. And even still, sometimes I walk around and I'm like, I don't think I need that anymore. Why am I keeping that, right?
Yeah.
Like what purpose is it bringing? Like, or I've walked by that picture 100 times and I never even notice it anymore because it's just there. And
Yeah.
to me, for my own self, anyways, that's a real sign for me that, okay, it's time to let that go and either bring in a piece of art that I really love or whatever. Like just
Yeah.
change it up sometimes, right? Is what we get that fresh perspective because I don't really think that and this is, I think, hard and I could be off key, but I feel like what we had maybe when I was 20 and moved out of home and I still have that picture on my wall probably doesn't represent who I am and what my energy is now.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Everything that you said, like I literally have goosebumps because I want to just clarify something super important. I don't think we've mentioned here today that people think that decluttering is like one and done, right? But actually, you are going to, and I need you to really like up the volume here when I say this now. You're going to be decluttering until your last day on Earth,
You speak.
right? Bless you. Why? Because exactly of what you said. When you were in your 20s and you got this like picture or whatever, you liked it. But now, you are in a different stage of life. Things are not aligned with you as much anymore, or you don't like the things that you used to like. All those things, right? We have babies, then we don't have babies, then they move out, then we have to move houses or countries or planets, whatever, right? I'm just making stuff up here, but that's exactly what it is, right? So decluttering is really exactly what you said. It's making space for things that align and support where you are right now. And it's okay to have things that are out of alignment when you're working through them. No pressure to get rid of everything, right? But also being what you said was beautiful is you look at the picture 100 times and you don't see it. And this one time you sort of snap out of that autopilot, which means that now you are ready. Your subconscious mind has brought it up to your consciousness. You see it and you are ready to make a decision on the item. And if you are ready to make a decision, you're going to know what to do with the item. And that is the essence of decluttering for me.
That's wonderful. So what's one small step do you think that anybody listening to this today could do besides, journaling some of these things, but what is one small step that you think they could do?
Okay, so I want to bring two first steps, okay? Because again, nervous system is so important, and journaling is more for like going deeper into uncovering things. But before you declutter, before you touch like a single thing, what I really suggest doing is make yourself feel good. Because if you feel bad, then I mean, I don't know, about listeners, but when I feel bad, there is nothing in the world that's going to make me do something, right? I'm never going to clean when I'm in a bad mood. I'm never going to declutter, work on whatever when I'm in a bad mood. So make yourself feel good. That is the most important because when you are feeling good, you want to do this stuff, right? And how can you make yourself feel good? Go listen to a music, put a song on that you like, go for a walk, spend time with your pet, things like that, right? And then start decluttering, but what I like to do again is we are looking at the expansion, right? So what is the easiest thing that you can spend time on? And I always say there is just one category of items that everyone has in the home, and everyone, how do I even say this? Everyone has no problem getting rid of it. Do you guys know what that could be?
Mm, I don't know.
Trash.
Trash. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
It's
trash
trash.
for sure.
Trash. Yeah, you're nodding the head. Exactly. Right. And here's the thing, right? We think like, oh, I don't have any trash. I promise you there is like trash or trash-like items, right? And just do that, right? Have a look at the choose a space, small space. Have a look whether there is trash here. If not, move on to a next space until you find a space where there is trash. And people who have loads of clutter, they have loads of trash as well. Even right now, I have trash on my desk. I've been working today all day, and there is trash on my desks, right? So if I was to sort of work on my desk, I would first focus on trash, because this gives your nervous system a very huge, like a green flag of I am the person who does it. Not the person who wish maybe one day I'll declutter, right? I really want to, but I can't. Um, I don't know where to start and all of those excuses, but I'm the person who does it. And we all have, I mean, we all have the proof that we have gotten rid of trash before.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's something new. It's not. Trash.
Right.
Do trash, make yourself feel good, then do trash. And once you get rid of all of the trash in your home, it was funny. I'll give you an example. A client of mine, that was a few months ago. I told her, right? Trash, just trash. She's like, I don't have any trash in my home. It's just clutter. I'm like, okay, just just work with me on this one. Just trust me on this one, right? And then I kid you not, next day she messaged me saying, "Oh, I got rid of 6 bags of trash yesterday." Right? It's because we don't see it. If you see something, it's like with your picture, right? It's there hanging. You're walking past it like 1 million times a day, but you don't see it. But when you make yourself see it on a conscious level, then, oh yeah, there is some trash here.
Yeah. So what about like maybe starting small, like, just grab a drawer and just go through that one drawer and look at it and kind of with those kind of eyes. Is there anything in here that's trash? And just deal with that, get rid of that, put the rest back in the drawer to maybe deal on a different day, right? Once you've kind of moved up in steps. Because I do think getting rid of stuff is you have to do it by steps because
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
easier with, like you say, when you realize, oh, this is trash, I can get rid of it, than to move up to the things that, oh, somebody gave me this, or it holds the sentimental value, or maybe I have this teacup that my grandmother gave me in my closet. Maybe instead of throwing it out, maybe I'm going to put it into my drawer and enjoy a really nice cup of tea with it in the evening and really bring that memory back of her. So I think, repurposing it perhaps.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there is, so much truth in that. And I think going into decluttering, we really have to internalize that is a process. It's not that it's going to happen in one day, 1 week, or 1 month, especially if we have like decades of stuff to work through, or
Right.
decades of behaviors and decades of the way of thinking that we, the way of doing stuff. So it is definitely a process. But, exactly like you said earlier with the example of your the picture frame where you said, okay, now I'm ready to get rid of it, right? Um, these things will come to you. But if we are putting too much pressure on ourselves of, okay, I have to do things a certain way, or I have to be done by Christmas, or I have to be done by 2026, right? It's never going to work because, to all the listeners, and I say it with all the love, you've tried that already, and it's, you're still here, right? You're still drowning in clutter, because I was as well. Like my whole life, I was cycling between messy and tidy, messy and tidy. And I always thought I just need to get organized better. I need to buy better bins, and none of this ever worked because I just had so much stuff. Um, but definitely just, it's going to take time and it's fine. And exactly like you said, give yourself a little bit of task, like tiny space. I'm not saying go into your entire living room and do the entire living room in one go, because the biggest sort of hurdle that people get tripped up, and they also forget about this, is they go into a decluttering project, and I don't like sort of calling it that way, but they go into the decluttering session and they take everything out of, like, I don't know, kitchen cabinets, right? They put everything on the counters, and like 20 minutes later, let's say, someone calls them and they need to run off and like run an errand, or something happened, or they all of a sudden get so tired and overwhelmed that everything is everywhere. They made zero progress, and now they have all this stuff everywhere that they don't know what to do with it. That is the worst thing that you can do. Just take everything
Right,
out, right?
right.
Like if you either a drawer or a cabinet, in the cabinets, there are probably shelves, right? Can you do a shelf or maybe a quarter of that shelf? Because doing a tiny bit at a time and making space look better is going to take you way further than dumping everything out and overwhelming yourself in the process, because there is 1,000% zero chance that you'll be able to get it done in the amount of time that you thought it was going to take.
Right, right.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do love what you said, that we're decluttering from now until we leave this world. And I think that's an important message for people to realize that, this is just a process that we're going through. And, as we're changing, we're getting rid of things, we're bringing in new things to replace, or not
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
right? So I think that's wonderful. I think you've had a lot of really great advice for people. And
Yes,
I
yes.
love that you started with, regulating yourself and having compassion for yourself to get to this stage, to know that, this is a journey that people are going on. It's not just I'm doing this thing because society says that I should. So
Yeah,
so can you tell
exactly.
everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram under Dorota Kuldo Decluttering. That's DOROTAKULDO Decluttering. So you can find me there. Come follow me. There was loads of I always there was loads of education, but also I try to make it lighthearted and fun. And also I'm on Facebook under Dorota Kuldo as well.
Wonderful. So we really appreciate you being on with us today. And if you had a final thought to leave with everybody, what would it be?
There is no rules. You cannot get it wrong, and there is no rules. We get to make our own rules. And if we stick just with those two things, decluttering is going to be 1,000 times easier and more fun.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you for all your messages for everybody. I think this is going to help people kind of move in the right direction. And now they know where to reach out if they need some advice or some help to watch some of your videos and things like that. So thank you so much for being with us today and sharing space with us. We really
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
appreciate it.
Good.
Okay. And everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet.